I got something different here to look at today. It's I think it's an Oster Golden A5 hair trimmer. Had a person wanted me to clean this up, re-grease it, re-oil it, and I'm also going to take it apart and blow out the hair that's on the inside. She uses it for grooming the dogs. I don't know if you can see it, but these holes here have some hair in there. It works its way in through the sides and both sides there. So we'll just take this whole thing apart and then blow all that stuff out of there. We'll check the brushes, make sure they're in good shape. If anything needs to be replaced, I'll see if she wants to go ahead with it and replace them, which I'm sure she will, but it works already. There's nothing wrong with it. It just needs to be cleaned. There is a maintenance that you need to do on these, so many hours or use or something like that, but I have the grease and the oil, so we'll get some of that put in there. I didn't know I was going to do a video on this, so I already took this part and cleaned everything on the inside of here, but then I decided, well, maybe I'll just make a little video out of this, and then I just put it back together temporarily. I'm not going to turn it on because there's no grease on the inside or no oil on anything, but we got this little thing in the back here that you push up, and then you pull this forward like this. Then you can release this back part, and then this slides right off. That's what the inside there looks like. So then take off these couple screws. Like I said, I took this apart and I cleaned all the grease and oil off it and everything already, so it's pretty shiny in there. But that's what the inside looks like. This piece here lifts straight off. Don't pry too hard because you don't want to break it. It's only plastic. And then we have this part here that comes off. And then we have this part that comes off there. That's the inside. There's a washer right down here. I'm going to take that off. So there's the washer there. I took everything out and I cleaned all the grease and everything as best I could from around in here. You know, you could use Q-tips or whatever you want to use. But I cleaned up all the parts, got the old grease off, so this way it'll have all new. Now what I haven't taken apart yet is the brushes or this back part here, and that's what we'll do now. Did you see that? Because I did. This little piece popped right off because there's a spring in there. There's the brush. Keep in mind the way that this groove is in here. Well, you can see that. You can see the groove, the half round circle there. It's only one direction. You have to make sure you put that back in there the right way, because otherwise it'll be grinding against this the wrong way, and it won't run right for a while until it wears this down. And plus, when it wears it down, it's going to gum up the inside in here. So you just want to make sure you put that back in there the same way that you took it out. So there's one side. We'll try to make sure we don't let that piece fly down to this side. Caught it this time. Same thing. And there's the brush on the other side. You can see that has the half round in a certain direction also. They still have some life left in them, so we don't need to replace those. So we've got this particular one has this much to go right here for the brush. And you know, you probably don't want to wait until it gets all the way down to the end, but in this case they're still pretty good. Alright, looks like we have a washer on here, or a nut on here, I mean. I've never taken one of these apart before. I've never looked at one before. It's the first time for me. But that's the fun of it, is a challenge, right? I'm sure there's probably videos out there of experts showing you how to do this, but not sure what that is. Got a little, I think it like maybe it's a little grease type thing where you put some oil in there. This way it runs down to the bearing on this side, or the shaft on this side, because you want to oil the shaft on both sides for the bearings that they sit in. Got to figure out how to take this thing off. I'm not sure if this has to come off, but I'm just going to do it to get it out of the way, maybe. Well, maybe not. That side don't want to come out. That's one of those. One side will come out, but the other won't. So it probably can stay in there. Not a big deal. But we got to get this off there somehow. I got to figure out how this comes off before I get too carried away. So I thought there were screws. Yeah, I thought I seen some screws. Yeah, right here in the end. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, you got hair coming out of the screw hole even. Seen these in there earlier, so I don't know. I got a brain dead moment there, I guess. I'm allowed to do that, I think. some more hair coming out of this hole. So that hair gets wrapped around everything in the motor, and when this one, I should have turned this on before I cleaned the inside, because I could have showed you what it did. It actually started out really slow, spinning the motor on the inside, and then all of a sudden it would pick up. So it's like something was gummed up or something, or it took a second or two to get up to full speed. Now you can see there's the hair that gets collected in there. So that's why you definitely want to do some maintenance on these things once in a while. Got all kinds of hair down in here, so it's good to take these apart and blow them out. And I don't have an air compressor sitting right next to me, so I want to pause in a few minutes to take it and go blow it out. Inside here there's a snap ring. Need to take that snap ring out of there to pull this out, and I happen to have a tool right here. So you'll need a snap ring tool. I have another little spacer here covered with hair. Just remember the order you took this apart, because if you don't, it'll be fun putting it back together unless you got a diagram. Here's the part of the motor. The rest of it's still in here. There's the empty inside there. So down inside there we'll put a little bit of oil down there for this shaft right here to spin on. Usually hair gets all over this and all over on the inside of this. Down inside there is the other one. Right down in the bottom we'll put a little bit of oil down there for this side to run on. And this actually just goes in here like this. So that's what it looks like, and it spins in there like that. So I'm going to take this this stuff here and go blow it out, and I'll be back with you shortly. Alright, so I got everything blown out, cleaned out, vacuumed out, whatever it needed to be, and I found a few things that would be good to mention. I'm going to place a picture of the exploded view of this thing on here, just to give you an idea on what's involved in this. And you can find that PDF online anywhere. You just type in the name of what you got. I got the Golden A5 here. One thing I did find out here, until it dropped out on me, is that little ball bearing right there goes in the end right here, and there's another one in this end here. So make sure you do not lose those when it comes time to take these apart. And I guess the best way to hold those in there while you're putting this back together is put a dab of grease in there, and then put the ball bearing in there for when you slide it all together. It'll make sure it's in there. When it comes time to grease this, there's a hole in the side of this shaft here, and then there's another one down towards the middle on this side. So there's two holes there. So you fill this top hole up with grease until it oozes out this hole and this hole on this side. And then, well, I mean, I'll explain that too when we get ready to grease it. There's also, I noticed, a little metal plate right here. You want to make sure that doesn't come out or fall out, and if you lose that, then the whole motor is going to shake back and forth that little bit, 1/16 of an inch or whatever it is, and I'm sure that'll wear some things down, so make sure you don't lose that either. And that seems stuck in there pretty good. I can move it just a little bit, but if it's got any kind of grease on it at all, it'll hold it in there. You can see it's a pretty dirty job there. I stuck the Q-tips inside each side of these holes here. Actually, this part, not that part, where the brushes go in. And then you can see, if I can get the light just right, or maybe a flashlight, probably not. My flashlight's wearing out. Down inside there, there's a lot of dust, black dust from the bushings, you know, being used. So those dirty Q-tips here are what that is from. Just stuck it in there like that, and then cleaned the opposite side, flipped it over, did the same thing, cleaned the opposite side. Having it apart's a better way to clean all the old grease out of this too. The old grease, sometimes in things it dries. I did a video on repairing a fan, and old grease tends to dry, and then it makes things so they don't spin very good. So you definitely want to get all the old grease off it using maybe some isopropyl alcohol, stuff like that. But that's what I used right here, and right here is some alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, to clean all the old grease off there and oil off there, so it spins nice and freely. And I also clean that up a little bit. You can use some really fine sandpaper or a brush, whatever you have, to clean that up a little bit. You don't want anything that's going to dig deep into it, so it definitely has to be some real smooth sandpaper. So I guess we're ready to put this back together. This part here, I remember I took this nut off. I didn't take this out or anything, so I just put this nut back on there. So I blew that out. There was a lot of pet hair inside here, so you definitely want to make sure you clean it all out. Let that air flow through there. Alright, so let's see about putting this back together, see if we can get back together right. Let's see. Let's start with putting this together here. So I'm going to take a dab of this grease, just enough to hold that ball bearing in there. So just like that. Still have my other one on this side. And the diagram that I'll put up there, it'll show you this stuff too. So it'll show you that it has bearings on there, ball bearings in there. I'm gonna drop some grease down inside that hole down there. Not grease, sorry, oil. Know the difference between grease and oil. Grease is thick and oil is runny. And the paperwork tells you what should go where. So make sure you put the right one there. I mean, it ain't the end of the world if you put the other one, but kind of want to do what the factory says, I guess. So I'm just going to put a couple drops in there. Enough to lube up the bearing down in there. You won't be able to see it, I don't believe so. But I put like 3, maybe 4 drops in there. That's probably plenty enough. If you think that's going to fall out, you can always tip this upside down, but I don't want to dump that grease out that or oil that I just put in there. Spread that oil around in there a little bit. And then also on this side here, we need oil down in that bearing right here. And I don't know if you remember me saying something about this right here, but this little ball bearing here, if you press it in, you could drop oil in there. I guess that's for if you have a bottle with a needle on it or something, or I guess I could push this hard enough. You should be able to see, if I can get it just right, there's a plastic piece that goes from a little tunnel that goes right there. That's that little hole right here, and that's what puts oil in on that bearing down in there. So you definitely want to make sure you get some on there, and you can do it beforehand too if you just take a Q-tip, put a few drops of oil on there. You can always stick it in this side and lube it up. A generous amount, but not so much that it's running all over everything. And we'll try to put some in this little hole too. Let's see, make sure I got everything going here. Make sure you line your holes up. I can spin the motor, so that's good. It's not binding or anything. We have our holes where they're supposed to be on the side there. Now if I remember correctly, we got this little ring here that goes on first. And then we have our snap ring. See if I can get this in here without busting my fingers or making it fly somewhere. Like that. Well, that's not good. That's happened before. all the way down in there. It does make sense to get that in there right. Actually chipped it a little bit. I guess that's something to watch out for. Alright. Now, motor still spins, so that's good. Looks like it cracked it. This plastic, it seems like it's very old, or I don't know what the problem is. It chips really easy though. Hopefully I didn't damage it too bad. This goes on a certain way. It's got a little notch right here, and that lines up with that little notch right there. So we put those together. And we'll put the screws in. If they're lined up right, the screws should go right in there. I'm not cranking it down real tight or anything, just snugging it real good, and that's it. I can still spin the motor, so that's good, nothing's binding. Now comes time to put our bushings back in, and remember the shaft is in there like this. So our bushing, our little dome thing on our bushing has to match with the way that shaft would be, so it doesn't go against the grain. And once you stick it in the hole, it'll stay that way because the hole is square to match the bushing. Then we got our little piece that likes to fly off. Push that down in there. It kind of sticks, but hold it just in case. So you put this over, a cap over it. Do the same on the other side. I'm spinning it backwards so I can try to get the threads in the right spot to line up there, and you'll hear it snap or drop in or something when you get it that far. It doesn't feel like it's binding, so we got them in there right. So that's good. So now time to let's put some little bit of oil down in this hole here. I'm going to push down on that and squirt it just a little bit. That should be enough to get that nice and lubed up in there. Now we're going to take our grease. I'm going to squirt it down in here till that oozes out, like out of those two holes that I was explaining. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but I'm going to. Oop, they come out of the first one. They come out of. See the one down farther on this side? You can see there's grease popping out of there, and then up on the top you can see there's grease popping out of that one. So that's supposed to be full, so that's good there. Don't want to forget about our washer. I'm going to put it the same way that it came out. This has a little groove on this side that matches the groove down on the bottom, so that's the way I'm going to put that on there. Now it says put this on and then put some grease around there, but I'm going to put a little bit around there right now at the bottom because it's going to slide up when I put it on there. You just don't want nothing to be dry, so just put it on whenever you want, or that meshes right in with the other stuff there. And also fill in around the gears there, and on the metal shaft, the metal one right here, so that gets filled up. I think it says use a tablespoon of grease in there. You can judge that however you want. I'm going to put a slight tad bit on this shaft here just to help that spin a little bit easier too. Not too much, but just enough. I don't remember if it says put it on here. It probably doesn't say it, but I'm doing this, so I'm going to put it where I think it should go. Anything that's going to make it a little bit, and I'm not going to put very much either. I just a little bit in there, and I'm going to smear it with the Q-tip here. Because that's going to go back and forth like this. When this spins, this moves back and forth, which actually moves this back and forth like this, and that's what makes this blade go back and forth like that to cut. So I'm going to put a little on this right here. And I'll even stick some in here a bit. There. Now I can't move this because it's all tight, but when I turn the motor on, it'll move it. Alright. So that part looks like it might be good enough. Let's put, what do I do with my top there? There we go. Put our top on here. Alright. I can try it without the blade on there, just to make sure if it works, or if it goes kaboom. We'll put it on normal. Well, it works. There's high. I can feel the air blowing out of it now. With all that dog hair and stuff in there, it didn't blow that well. This piece here, it slides. Let's put some grease on this first, or oil on this first. I'm going to push this off to the side. And I'm going to put some oil down in the track there. See how easy that was to push it back in there? I had to push it with the screwdriver to get it out. A little oil on the track there. Unless I got my fingers in the way, yeah. And I'm going to put a little bit down there. Across there. I'll wipe up the excess. That's a lot easier instead of rubbing on bare metal. Moves really easy now. Well, since I got my hands on full of oil, see if I can slip it together without it falling all apart. If you overdo it with the oil, you just got a mess to clean up. So this part here slips underneath in this little spot right there. So you slip it in there, just like that. And then it says to put, when you close this, to actually have the unit running. So this way, that piece there will slide inside its slot properly in the right spot. If you don't do it with it on, it doesn't seem like it goes in there all the way. But don't get your fingers caught in this blade at all, so that probably wouldn't be a good thing. So I'm just going to turn it on low. And I don't know if we got to push this button or not. I don't think so. And I'm going to, there, push it down like that. And you can see it's moving back and forth. I hope you can see it. Alright. That looks like it's it. There's high. So that ought to last for a while until the next 100 or 500, I can't remember what it said, hours of use. So just be careful. Alright, until next time, we'll see ya.